Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and welcome back to DPA IRL. Today I want to talk about yet another casual take, my casual opinion about something that I think a lot of people is wondering and thinking about. So, uh, in the latest news that we know of is that the Putin has already signed the confirmation of the annexation of the four regions: Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson. So this four region is now officially signed into law by Putin into the Russian Federation. So effectively, this four region is part of this massive, crazily big, huge country, and yeah, so they increase the size of the country by less than 0.5%. Yeah, like really, you can go and count. It doesn't really increase Russia that much. No, Russia is a huge place. So the question is, what's next? The Russia has annexed these four regions, and they have been raising a new army. They did the partial mobilization for 300,000 troops. So uh but somehow they are losing badly. They are losing very badly. They lost Izium area, Balaklia area, the entire eastern part of the Kharkiv region, and then they has even lost Liman, and then the Ukrainians are now at the doorstep of Crimea, and they are now heading for Sviatove, and on top of this, they also start to have a massive loss in the Kherson region. The very region that they actually annexed. So what's next? What are we supposed to expect? Is the Ukrainians really winning, um, or is the Russians really losing, or are we going to see a reversal? So this is my opinion. The Ukrainians are taking advantage of whatever situation that they are getting. There is literally very few Russian military in the Kherson, in the Ukraine territory. As far as I can tell, I really don't don't seem to read a lot about Russian military, uh, or the regular soldiers. I'm not talking about the Chechens. I'm not talking about the South Ossetians. I'm not talking about Luhansk or Donetsk militias. I'm talking about like Russian regular forces. Very few, and the closest thing I get is that in the Kherson region where they are defending against the Kherson offensive, there are VDV. There are the Russian airborne troops. So there are Russian airborne troops here. So that came as something new to me. I didn't expect them to be VDV forces around here. So maybe these are new, maybe new reinforcement that is just pulled in. And so the Ukrainians are taking advantage of the lack of forces on the ground. Perhaps they detected it through intelligence, maybe spies, agents, maybe through satellite imaging. They realized that there is literally too few troops on the Russian side. So they took advantage and launched all these massive offensives and captured a lot of grounds. But weirdly is that despite this annexation, we didn't really hear Putin give a major speech of any kind, at least not yet, which is rather unusual. The latest information I also heard is that the special military operation status will not be changed. Tentative, the based on the latest information, I forgot who said it. Don't know if the foreign ministry or the defense ministry. So that's the situation now. So the Ukrainians are going to try to capture as much ground as possible before the reinforcement comes. But once the reinforcement comes, it's going to be one hell of a fight for the Ukrainians. Unfortunately, if you're pro-Ukrainian, be prepared for a lot of emotional damage, because you have to put into context this entire regions, especially even Kharkiv region, and earlier we have the northern front, right, where Chernihiv and Sumy was largely occupied by the Russian forces. The entire operation was conducted at the highest estimate only 250,000 troops against against 300,000 Ukrainian troops. So is there then the Ukrainians went to mobilization. So, and with the mobilization, they gain more and more troops. Plus, there is a foreign legion, so 500,000, 750,000. So far, no, I'm always saying there's 1 million troops, but so far the more conservative highest number of troops is 900,000. So with 900,000, let's say 100,000 is dead. No, 100,000 soldiers has died across the entire war, so still 800,000. And 800,000 versus there's probably less than 100. There's probably 150,000 troops in Ukraine on the Russian side, because they start off with 250,000. Sorry, I think 50,000 has already died. There's another 50,000. I think they have been withdrawn. Withdrawn from where, may I ask? I think they have been withdrawn from the Kharkiv region. Previously, the Russian forces are holding Izium region pretty well. The Ukrainians do not dare to attack the Balaklia front, and they are keeping the Ukrainians very, very, very busy in the northern part of the Kharkiv region. And all these troops are withdrawn. So where do they go? So when you raise 300,000 troops, and then you say that these troops need to be trained, and then they need to be trained in the know-how of the modern warfare that is being fought in Ukraine. So who is going to train these 300,000 troops? Have you considered who is going to train them? If, let's say, whoever has experience in the theater in the Ukraine war do not leave Ukraine, then who is going to train these 300,000 troops? I understand though that there is rotation. So there is rotations going around. So there is probably more than these 50,000 troops. But 300,000 troops is a lot of people. You need a lot of trainers. So my analysis is that the missing troops, the missing troops are actually sent to be instructors. This is what I think that had happened, and I don't think this 50,000 troops will be coming back anytime soon. I think they will stay on as instructor. I believe there will be a second round of partial mobilization. So this first 300,000, I believe there will be at least 3 to 4 times, to up to 1 million troops. I think that will be happening. I think Russia will be wanting to conquer the entire of Ukraine eventually, but this 300,000 troops is likely to be reinforcing definitely the Kherson region, because the Kherson region is looking really weak and vulnerable. Then there will be another force going to Zaporozhye. So the Zaporozhye region, according to the statement coming out from the Zaporozhye leader, he said that the entire Zaporozhye region will be under Russian control. That means they will be warning the Ukrainians to leave the entire Zaporozhye region, or they will be sending in their military to conquer it. So, which means that there will be another force of troops coming to here. I do not think they will send forces to Donetsk, because Donetsk seems to have sufficient forces at this moment. The Ukrainians did not have any breakthrough, and the Russians are still pushing pretty strongly at Bakhmut region. But I believe there's another force will be going to maybe the Luhansk region to either fight against this Ukrainian force around here, or they might actually start a new front, either attacking Kharkiv, or I believe they might even go for Kiev to force a surrender. So it could be there's 300,000 troops. You can break it up into 50,000, 6 times 50,000. So you have 6 different armies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can have Chernihiv 50,000 troops, Sumy 50,000 troops, Kharkiv 50,000, Luhansk 50,000, Zaporozhye 50,000, and Kherson 50,000. And you would think, doesn't sound like enough, right? Exactly, it doesn't sound like enough. So that's why I say there will be a second round of partial mobilization, and third round, perhaps even full mobilization, because should the Ukrainians refuse to leave this territory that is now being claimed by Russia, Russia reserves the rights to declare war. And I got a feeling that they will declare war by the end of this month. By the end of October, there will be a formal declaration of war. And with that, this 300,000 troops that is coming in on top of whatever troops that is already here, let's say there's only 100,000, so 400,000 troops, then they will be able to bring in the conscripts. Conscripts are not allowed to operate outside of Russia, but they will be able to operate within Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye and Kherson because they are now already been annexed. So this is the game that Putin is playing. This is the trick. And with the conscript, you can free up all these 300,000 partial mobilized troops into purely offensive assault forces. The conscripts will then be sent in just to hold ground, do humanitarian, do logistics. They will not be needed to fight in the front. They will be probably sent to protect installations, protect harbors, and protect resupply routes. Because if you declare war, then you'll be in a war footing. Then everything can go into martial law. Things can go really brutal. Should Putin is that sort of person. Tentatively, he seems to be overly patient. Way more patient than I am as a person. So this is just my projection of what is to come. A declaration of war by the end of the month. 300,000 troops coming in. But at the moment, I can tell you these 300,000 troops won't come in suddenly. The latest information about the mobilization is that they had around over 200,000 troops out of the 300,000 they are supposed to recruit. So 200,000 troops plus is currently being trained. And since the training till now, we are only left with around 1-2 days or 3 days when the mobilization reaches 2 weeks. So but I don't think, of course, the training will be done immediately on the first day of mobilization. So I believe there will be another week. But the first batch of troops from this mobilization is likely to be entering the Ukraine theater in the next week, within a week. The first group that is firstly trained, and there is trainings I understood to be in Luhansk, in Rostov, in Belgorod. I believe, from my understanding, there are troops being trained over here, and I want to also add on to another thing that is not only these 300,000 troops is being trained and is going to come into Ukraine. The Chechen forces have Chechen has been consistently gathering more and more volunteer battalions and sending into theater more and more consistently throughout the entire war. They have been recruiting, and the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov has also called on all the Russian states to raise volunteer battalions. He called on everyone to raise 2,000 troops or 1,000 troops. I cannot remember, it's 1,000, 2,000. So there's 85 states in Russia, and from my understanding, all 85 states are answering his call, and they are so I believe it's going to be 1,000 troops. Let's take the lower estimate because I cannot remember. It's been at least a week already or two. So there's 85 states. So 85 states each raising 1,000 troops. That's 85,000 troops. It's not a joke. It's a lot. And let's say, if I remember wrongly, it's actually 2,000 troops. That is 170,000 troops. On top of the 300,000, that is 400 over, coming to 500,000, plus the forces that the 100 to 150,000 troops that is already in theater. We are talking about already 600,000 troops. It would match what the Ukrainians have, and not to mention the Ukrainians have a lot of forces along the border region to Belarus, at Chernihiv and Sumy, now probably at Kharkiv as well. And there's definitely troops at Lviv, guarding the lower borders. Maybe lesser troops, but there still are. And there's also troops guarding Odessa in case of a amphibious assault. So, given the troops are also spread out, the forces that are currently being on the front. Let's say there's 50,000 across this entire front, and 50,000 here, so another 50,000 across the rest. That's already 150,000. So if they have 800,000, then 150,000 off will be like 650,000, and we have another 50,000 perhaps involved with logistics. There will be like 600,000 troops. So 600,000 troops, they will be met in equal force by the Russian side, if not more, in the coming months. Not immediately, not immediately, but in the coming months. I think by the end of December, we will see all 300,000 troops they are being partially mobilized currently to be all in theater. So that is the bad news for the pro-Ukrainian side, and it's the good news for the pro-Russian side. And I'm not saying all this because these are fake news or misinformation, or I'm being pro-Russian, or this is the reality. If you want to analyze and judge and be mentally prepared for what is to come, then you have to accept that these are the things that is currently unfolding. The success of the Ukrainians currently in theater, in the war, is impressive. Like seriously, they caught the bluff on the Russian defenders. They realized they are indeed too sparse, too few troops, and they broke through, and they conquered so much land. That's good. That's what the Ukrainians have to do. If they want to stay in war, they must attack. That is just natural. But what is to come will be terrible. I believe for the Ukrainian troops, the coming months will be horrible. If all this mockery about the Russian mobilized troops don't have proper equipment, don't have proper weapons, all these turn out to be false, then the Ukrainian troops is going to be in deep trouble. Because if the Ukrainians have to put in the entire country's war footing effort to deal with 250,000 Russian invasion force, how are you going to deal with another 300,000 on top of the 150,000 probably is already in theater, and another 100 to 200,000 volunteers, Wagner private military contractors? I have no freaking idea. So which is why you see some of the pro-Russian crowd is very confident. They are very vexed about all these losses, but they are quietly confident. Some of them even warned, in the comments, saying that wait and see. And I agree. This war is not over. The Russians are currently losing, but purely because they have not enough troops on the ground. And Russia, being such a huge country with much more bigger population, manpower is not a problem. It's just a matter of how do Putin maneuver legally within this country to, at least looks like that he have the legitimacy to call on the people of Russia to fight this war. And I can tell you, most of the people in Russia is now supportive of this military operation. The war is still young. It's not even 1 year. The people are not exhausted by this war. The Russian people seeing all these sanctions actually made them more determined to actually defeat all these sanctions and to win this war. The sanction is backfiring, even if economically Russia is being affected, but the people, other than the rich one, the normal people, the normal Russians, they are inspired. They're inspired to fight. In case you're not aware, Putin has to officially ask his military to really turn back people from the recruitment center, because there are people who are not being called up going to recruitment center to volunteer to fight. That is the real situation, which is why there is videos and photos coming out at recruitment centers where it was swamped. Too many people is at the recruitment center because people are volunteering to fight. And the situation is so bad that Putin has to put out an official order that these people must be turned back by law. They must be turned back. So there is no shortage of people wanting to fight this war in Russia. Don't believe the misinformation that you're being fed. The situation, the war situation is not that rosy. No. Zelensky might be overconfident. No, when they just signed yesterday or the day before yesterday, the law that they will not negotiate with Putin. I think that's a mistake. I think he will have to eat that piece of paper that he signed. Not very long into the future. It will be quite soon, I would say. So of course, I do not know how the Russians will actually deploy their troops. I believe that they will spread it out across multiple fronts, and again put massive pressure on Ukrainian manpower and logistics. If you open up the northern front again, open up the Kharkiv front again, invade through Zaporozhye, fight back in the Mykolaiv region, Kherson region, the Ukrainians won't have enough forces to deal with this. They will be stretched. So, but will they be deploying the troops properly? Will they be equipping them properly? No idea. No. If the Russian commanders misuse these troops, then perhaps the Ukrainians may have a chance. But if they don't misuse the troops, if they use these troops properly, these great victories might actually be in reverse, because we will not be seeing them fighting the same way as we have been seeing for the past 6 months. It will be much more closer to the fighting we saw in the first month of the war. It will be massive penetrations, breakthroughs, but this time around with more troops. So anyway, this is just my opinion. I can be wrong. I think you know better. Definitely, obviously the people who comments knows better, right? Who am I? I don't know anything one. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you for wasting your time listening to me talking nonsense, and I will see you in the next update.